What is up, good people? Jungle Link here, hope you're doing well. I have this article here in front of me. Cardano's loss to Base leads to zombie chain tag. And so what's happened here, Coinbase has launched their new layer 2 for Ethereum, and it has leapfrogged Cardano. It has more transaction value locked, and it has everyone freaking out here. And I think this is going to be a reoccurring theme as we move forward. People are going to look at Cardano. They say, oh, it's a zombie chain, nothing going on. I think we are going to see, unless crypto goes on a wild bull run here, that price continue to drift down. We've come a long ways since the ADA token just going on a tear during the bull run, and now we find ourselves, at least a lot of investors feel, in uncertain water. And I'm sure, a good part of this is the SEC tagged a lot of projects, the ADA token being one of them, throwing them in these ancillary lawsuits with claims of security violations. Nothing directly launched at the project, at least as of now. That probably has been a drag on the price, I'm sure. But I think when we look back, you saw this big run in Cardano. It hasn't held on to those gains. Why? Because it wasn't ready yet. No one was really using it for practical purposes. Now, yes, at the tail end of the bull run, we got decentralized exchanges launched, and of course, smart contracts came into play, and you could start using it, but it wasn't quite ready in time. I think the big test here for projects like Cardano and Polkadot, where you're going to find if they're winners, and I think Cardano is going to be one of the winners, is when this space takes off, much like we saw on Binance Chain last time around. When the bull run started to, really pick up its pace and everyone went trying to yield farm on that chain and swap tokens and use it as a viable alternative to Ethereum, well, we've seen what's happened there with the growth, and also it's held on to a lot of those gains in better fashion than what we've seen with some of these other ones that weren't ready, that didn't get that big influx of users. The stage is set. They're ready, but you won't know at this point in time. You're not going to see this big influx of users. It's going to happen when the space takes off and people are looking to buy the new token, do swaps, do yield farming, all of that stuff that really gets wild during a bull run. Who's ready to bring on that business? Cardano, in my opinion, is one of those chains. If you want to see how things may play out as we work through this year, a great video by Benjamin Cohen. It's labeled "The Depression Phase is Coming." He's talking about Cardano and its value. And I think we're going to see this type of price action for Cardano, but I think it's a great opportunity. It's one you want to track. Of course, I'm sure you already have some in your portfolio, but we may get some real buying opportunities here in front of us. And I wouldn't buy into this nonsense that Cardano's a zombie chain, because while there isn't a ton of transaction value locked right now, what we do see is a lot of development. When you look at the top development going on right now in the world, we're talking about Polkadot, its Canary sister chain, and Kusama, and Cardano. And they all kind of flip-flop between 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, that's where a lot of your building's going on, because they are getting ready for this next growth phase. And I don't think it's going to be anything like what we saw last time, when it was talk, when it was promises. And yes, we saw developments on both of those chains with Cardano, introducing smart contracts and a lot of infrastructure, and Polkadot, of course, with their parachains, but they weren't there. They weren't ready for practical application. We're going to see what they're made of this time around. Any moron can look at the numbers right now and say, well, Ethereum, it's got all the transaction value locked, and that's true, but is that going to give you the best, growth opportunities here? It's one of the probably safer bets, sure. I personally like Bitcoin better than I do Ethereum at this point in time, but I think if you get those altcoins that are down a little bit in valuation and probably will continue to go down, and if you get the right ones where you're going to see this massive surge in adoption and usage, that's where the big money is going to come into play here. And I think Cardano is one of your better bets here. Make sure you track this one closely, and if even better buying opportunities present themselves, I don't think you can pass them up. I'll link Benjamin's video down below. Check it out. I mean, the guy is a super genius, and he's going to show you charts and all that good stuff. All right, JP Morgan thinks that the Bitcoin market bottom is near, and people get real excited about this. First of all, I wouldn't trust anything JP Morgan is telling me. I don't think anyone can really call that with any sort of certainty. And this JP Morgan analyst is optimistic that Bitcoin, its downside is limited, and that's a kind of wild call within cryptocurrencies at all. Of course, Bitcoin's a little more stable than a lot of your altcoins, but there ain't no, really limited downside within crypto where we can see massive swings just because it's a Tuesday afternoon. You ain't paying JP Morgan for this analysis, so why are they telling it to us? Who knows? I wouldn't read too much into these types of reports. Now, Crypto Builders, this is a new report by DYDX. They're saying they should just give up on serving the U.S. customer for the next 5 to 10 years, and I understand what they're saying. I mean, there's a lot of legal risk. There's a lot of hoops you're going to have to jump through. They're looking at new regulations that may make DeFi providers register and report, tax information for users here in the United States. Like, what a nightmare this could be. I think, though, if you're a massive project, if you're a big layer one, if you're going for global dominance, you can't just ignore any market. You have to try to figure out the tough ones, which are China, the United States, and India. That's like, if you can get it done there, if you can gain traction and work with those very difficult governments, well, you're going to be dominating. So I don't think we're going to see your big projects exit the United States, but a lot of these ancillary projects that are kind of smaller, maybe you have a DApp or a decentralized exchange, it's just not going to be worth their risk. You got to have a lot of money to defend yourself and work with these governments and lobby. This we understand. Everyone can't exit this market, but if you're a smaller project, I get it. When you look at Ethereum, it's not the fastest. It's not the cheapest to use. It's not the most advanced. What makes it so compelling is they've kind of got the secret sauce. However, they may have accomplished this where they're seen as regulatory compliant. Now, we all know that's not guaranteed. It hasn't been stated. It hasn't been written in blood. But your big institutions are comfortable investing in Ethereum, and a lot of your big investors pile in. And you can see the difference that makes for that project. It's dominating the lead over everything else. Nothing comes close within the altcoin space. And a lot of it has to do with at least its perceived spot within U.S. regulations. Correct or not. And so you don't want to try to give that up. You can imagine 5-10 years later, you come back and you're like, all right, we're ready to go now. Your competition may have, just ridiculous leads over you and you ain't catching up. So if you're a big player, you got to try to get it done. It's just the way you got to play the game. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, please please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.